Hey guys, Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist in Bali. Interesting stuff going on, sad stuff going on in the news. We wanted to talk about it. We wanted to talk about how you should be prepared now more than ever. It's all the things that we talk about, and specifically right now in the news is the Trump Muslim ban. President Trump came out, issued an executive order temporarily banning, as he said he would in the election, folks from 7 Muslim majority countries from coming to the United States for 90 days, and they would sort it out. Of course, the unanswered questions were what happens after 90 days? Is this just kind of the entree for this to become a permanent thing? What's going to happen? 7 countries, the likes of Iran, Iraq, Sudan, Libya, Somalia, and others can't come in. But there was a curveball in there. There was a wild card that I did not expect, and that is that even U.S. green card holders traveling on those passports could not come. So if you're an Iranian guy and you've been a U.S. green card holder, even if you qualify for U.S. citizenship now or soon, and you've made your life in the United States, can't come. Now, a judge came in and issued a stay of that executive order. It doesn't mean he canceled it. It means he just said, hey, go back to the drawing board, and surely the White House will fight that. There's a lot of unanswered questions right now. What's going to happen next? I'm not a political guy. I'm not here to talk speculation or inflame tensions. But I look at this and I say, all right, you're keeping people from 7 countries out. The first question is, will there be more countries? Will there be a trade war with China and suddenly the Chinese can't come, or the Mexicans can't come, or other people can't come, Malaysians, moderate Muslims can't come? And I look at it and say there's 2 different groups that are affected. The first group is the most urgently affected. Obviously, if you're a citizen of one of those countries that's affected and you can't travel to the United States, that could be an issue. Much bigger issue is you're a green card holder in the United States with a passport from one of those countries. You've got a job, you've got a business, you've got whatever, and you're out for New Year's holiday and you're coming back and they won't let you in. And it's actually been said, I read somewhere that some of the immigration officials, even after the judge said you can't do this for a while, we're still enforcing the ban and just kicking people out, deporting them back to Iran or wherever else, which could potentially be dangerous. So that's the first group. The second group is everyone else who has to live with the consequences. And when I say live with the consequences, I say, okay, 7 countries can't come. A lot of those countries are sanctioned countries. Not a ton of Sudanese investment in the United States. Not a big issue. But if you're a U.S. investor, if you own property in the United States, if you have a business in the United States, if you're a U.S. citizen, whatever ties you have, there's going to be some kind of, pushback from folks. There's going to be fewer people coming in, and especially if they expand the Muslim ban and expand it to other places or make it go on longer, you're going to see an eroding confidence in the United States as a place to invest, particularly among investors, I think, from the Gulf or other places, like even Russia, where there are sanctions. The argument will be, will Russia be next? So if you're invested in the United States, that could mean negative consequences for you. So two camps there, the people with immediate need and the people who it's going to kind of take a while to filter down to them and see what happens. And I think on both counts, it shows why you need an international strategy. Having a second passport, and I would argue even a third passport, is going to be increasingly important. I say a third passport because there was some chatter from the State Department that even if you were a dual citizen of a country like Iran, you were subject to the ban. So if you were born in Iran, but you had a Belgian passport, and it said in the Belgian passport, born in Iran, and they could ascertain you were also an Iranian citizen, you'd be banned. That has not been confirmed, but that was something that was reported from the State Department to some parts of the news media. So that's pretty intense. I think that you're going to see more people in the next 5 to 10 years, besides U.S. citizens, with a need to or a desire to renounce their citizenship. It may become untenable to hold your current citizenship long term with all the chaos that's going in the world, not just for the tax reasons that we often talk about, but for some of these types of reasons. So having a second passport's great, but there may come a time when you want to get rid of the first passport, and then you'll need a second and a third. So get working on those second passports, get working on those second residencies, build those safe havens. Because I don't know about you, but if I'm originally from Iran, and I'm a green card holder living in the United States for the last X number of years, and I come back home from my vacation in Mexico, and they deport me to Iran, where I don't know what the heck is going to happen to me, that's pretty freaky. I'd like to have another passport or another residence that at least can hopefully save me. But the second issue is really diversifying your investments, because even if this doesn't immediately impact you, again, I think that the question is this the beginning of a slippery slope? Will there be more? Will other countries be affected? Who knows? Again, I'm not a political prognosticator. I don't know. But as a pragmatic business person, that's my first question. Is this all the damage? Has the damage been contained, or is more to come? And so I ask myself, as a guy who holds U.S. dollars, partially, who has some ties to the U.S., how is this going to impact me as an investor? Are people going to escape, putting their money in the United States? Is there going to be less confidence in the U.S. banking system? Is there going to be less confidence in whatever else? And how is that going to impact my money? We live in a connected world, and I understand the United States has shown itself very resilient lately. But when this kind of stuff, when we get this, intense, I think that you're going to see some very interesting things play out. And who knows what that'll mean for your money? Who knows what that'll mean for different currencies? Who knows what that'll mean for gold, etc. So I think that this is as good a time as any, if you haven't started, to put money in foreign currencies, to put money in precious metals, to put money outside of the country. If a Muslim ban can happen, maybe there's other things to come. Maybe guys who talk about what I talk about will be next. Who knows? Maybe we'll be on a ban list. I don't say that to inflame tensions, but I say it because I'll always talk about what's the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, the most likely scenario. The most likely scenario could be a need for insurance. Definitely a need for a second and possibly third passport. Definitely a need for a place you can escape to, a place you can go, even if that's just a residence permit. Definitely a need for diversifying your money out of one financial system and out of one currency. These are perhaps insurance policies for some folks that are the ones who are actually going to be deported or are concerned about being deported. They're very immediate. For everyone else, they say that would never happen here. Well, did you ever think that U.S. green card holders were going to be kicked out? For all the folks, even if you're not affected, if you've ever said, that can't happen here. I'm not a doom and gloom guy, but when you're banning U.S. green card holders, permanent residents, from entering the United States, you wonder what's the next step. And so I think that playing it smart, doing a little diversification, being sane about things. If you have a business, by the way, that's a whole other video. If you have a business and you're importing stuff from China and work with a lot of e-commerce guys who sell stuff from China, that's a whole separate video on how you're diversifying for that. But we live in interesting times, and so for your sake and for your business's sake, diversification is going to become very, very important, whether you're directly affected or not.